Now it is time for our 100K student interview. So we've got esteemed members of the Academy, Naiha and Ozan, who joined a couple of years back now. It's always been Naiha that's kind of been emailing me, never Ozan. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see that she was made of a strong team with her 10K and 100K photos. So we are now going to bring them on. If I can just kind of quickly flip it over. Great. Thank you guys so much for joining me. First of all, I just want to say a big congratulations, not just for the 10K, which is always fantastic to, award to people, but also the 100K. I love giving that 100K award out because I think, I'm not trying to big myself up, I do think the award is really cool, like a little record label one. So first of all, what kind of felt a bigger achievement, or I suppose what made you happier, getting the 10K because it was kind of that proof of concept, or the 100K?
That's a question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think for me,
question.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I think for me, it was probably the 10K, because I think when you start anything from the beginning, there's always going to be some kind of doubts, whether you're going to be successful, whether it's going to pick. Whether it's going to pick up, whether people are going to buy it with your idea. So I think the 10K was it was a bit of validation. I think, if anything, that yes, we were on the right track. Yes, this was a good idea. And I think for me, I think the 10K was really important, to be honest.
I think the time frame that we achieved it, I think it was like 2.5 months. That really boosted our confidence, kind of just reassured us that we're doing the right thing, picked the right product. So I think the 10K probably, but the 100K actual picture looks 10 times better than the 10K one. So
I really like that picture. I thought it's especially kind of like the face that Ozan was doing, very professional. Here's what I've got. Just out of curiosity, Naiha, was it always you two in it from the beginning, or was Ozan like, oh, you're about to hit 10K, yeah, I want to do it now?
No, we were in it together from the start. In fact, we'd never heard of Amazon FBA, and it was actually Oz that came across drop shipping, which is when we started kind of looking into kind of the other options and the alternatives. And then I think our algorithms must have picked up, because then you started popping up on our ads. And I think, when we watched quite a few videos, looked at quite a few coaching, coaches, but there was just something about you that seemed genuine, trustworthy. And I think that initial video you do kind of in your advert, it's so, that initial training, I don't know what you call it, but before
webinar,
we actually
like the intro
webinar, it was so detailed and comprehensive that I think that was it for us. We kind of knew this is the goal.
Oh, I'm glad that you chose the right method then, because we do get a lot of people kind of in the door saying, oh, what about drop shipping and marketing and so on. And I always kind of give them the same points, that with drop shipping, you're not really building like a long-term sustainable brand. It's built on trends and fads and so on. So just to kind of step back a bit then, in terms of your background. So you guys, are you like business people? You already have your own businesses, or like what's your entrepreneurial background?
My actual background is sort of health and social care. So I'm a qualified social worker. I worked for the council for about 20 years as a manager for child protection and children in care.
And then for me, it was I was very much in care and support. So I worked with adult ex-offenders, young people in care, but it was a lot of groundwork stuff. So it was kind of just looking and identifying needs and how we can sort of move them along sort of positively. So very, very different. But
and I think kind of sort of like, it was about 7 years ago. We kind of toyed with the idea for many years about going independent and setting up our own children's home. We went back and forth with it for years, just out of fear, taking such a big risk. We were in both stable, well-paid jobs. So we toyed with it, and then we finally took the leap about 7 years ago and set up our own business.
That's great. And how have you kind of found being business people? Is it something that you've always encountered you've always been able to, you know, flourish at, or has it been challenging? I'm just trying to kind of hear if it's the same as what Amazon FBA can be like.
Yeah. To be honest, it's something I'd never done before, and I actually kind of set the care home up on my own first, just so that we had a steady income coming in, just in case it all went wrong. But I mean, the accountant we had helped, like he set the business up for us, and sort of did those small bits. So it was interesting to see how easy it was to do it ourselves through your training. We were like, oh, we could have saved a bit of money there, but
just
you know. Yeah, I think I just, you know, with the accounting and the finance and all that, I just kind of taught myself, and you know, I found it fairly smooth. It wasn't a difficult process, so yeah, I think we found the process.
I think the most daunting is the beginning. It's fear of the unknown, especially if it's something that's completely new to you. You kind of there's very much a fear of the unknown, and once you actually start to unpick it and start going through the process, you actually realize that it's a lot more not simpler, but it's easier to get your head around. That, you know, most of the fear is in the fear itself rather than actually the doing of it. So
and I think bits of it helped us with the FBA process, because like I said, you know, the setting up of the business, we'd done it before. Setting up a business account, we'd done that before. Not so much trademarking, but I think it kind of just helped that, you know, in terms of
it's like the admin and kind of just going, you know, understanding the kind of process of things. I think you guys, did you manage to find a product fairly quickly, like roughly, in terms of your timeline then? So you joined the academy, obviously had to go through the training. Just walk us through the kind of timeline there.
So we signed up to the course in August 2022, and obviously because our work is so time consuming, we work most days till late. We were kind of squeezing in an hour every evening to get. So the course took us about 3 months, and I'd say about a month and a half into the course is when we started doing our product research. So using helium-10 and just starting to get an idea of, you know, what kind of niche we want to go into, you know, what kind of revenue are we looking to make, you know, monthly, just those initial bits of research for the first month and a half. And we were quite lucky. We kind of agreed on a product quite quickly. I think within a month after that, we found a product that we felt we could make better. And we thought of the brand name pretty quickly and the logo pretty quickly as well. So it kind of just within 3 months, you know, we'd received the samples, tested them, and we're ready to kind of put our first order
in place really quickly. Do you feel like maybe your experience as previous business owners, entrepreneurs helped you with, you know, the product research process in understanding that no product is perfect and that there's always going to be a little bit of uncertainty? Because I suppose that's maybe how you felt when you were opening your it's like, you know, stepping out into the unknown a little bit. You're not 100% certain.
I think it was completely different. I think because when we set up the care home, we had knowledge, experience, skills, decades worth. So it didn't feel like unfamiliar territory. Whereas FBA was completely new. And even though we found the product quite quickly, we did find the product research stage really hard. Like,
we all do.
It's so hard. And we did everything you told us not to do. We got very emotional and passionate about the product. We picked a product in a highly competitive niche. But it was something that, you know, that we're interested in, the kind of area that we picked. And we just kind of, I guess we fell in love with the product. We probably shouldn't have done, but yeah, I think it just worked for us. So
I think
sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, for me, I kind of, I think very similar to what you said, actually. And, you know, with the care home, we both knew what we brought to it before we'd even thought about it. You know, Naiha, being sort of in social services as a manager, was very policy driven and had a lot of knowledge on policy, procedure and expectation. And my work was very much kind of face to face. And so we kind of, we already kind of almost had an idea of what it would look like. Whereas going into this, I think for me, my perception of online selling, of people that sell online, it was very foreign to me. It's not something that I imagined that I would get into, for sure. It's not something that any of us had any experience in, and I found that quite scary, because it was like there was no what's the word? There was nothing to give me an idea that I could do it, or that we could do it. There was nothing there, so it was completely new. And I think even when we was going through the training with yourself, we was having to go back and look at things twice and 3 times and 4 times and rewatch videos over, and just to so that we got a grasp of it.
I think what helped us is we did all of the training, and the only thing we did kind of midway was the product research, and maybe the brand and logo, but we kind of took our time. We finished the whole course first, and then went back and kind of followed each module step by step, like setting up the business, setting up the business account, took it step by step, because it is a lot of information to take in. It was quite overwhelming. It was quite overwhelming. We had no idea how much there would be to learn. We thought it'd be quite easy, to be honest.
You saw my webinar, I was like, it's just 5 steps, right?
No. We had no idea how much there is to it, honestly, because I think actually setting up the care home felt much easier than doing the FBA, in terms of the amount of information you have to take in. But I think, as long as people follow your modules, follow your training, don't kind of leap ahead, without kind of watching everything first. I think it just gets overwhelming, and you get confused and stuck.
I think everything that you've said there is pretty much bang on for how most people in the group feel. Like, I get common themes from people where they say they feel overwhelmed, they're just getting fed up with product research. So I think, it's so encouraging to hear that a 10K club winner and 100 club winners have gone through those range of emotions, but you guys have persevered, and you've shown that it is possible. Just kind of going back to your product research then, so you said how difficult it was, how difficult you found it. Was there anything that you can recommend to the guys watching in terms of ways to keep motivated and just to keep persevering in order to find that product? I think you've got to accept, it's not necessarily going to be a product that you love or that you thought you would sell. You do have to look at it from a financial point of view. Is it going to make me money? How can I do it differently? How can I make the product better? And I think, for us, because we went into an area that we had a passion for, that helped us narrow down the niche. But we didn't come to that decision until at least kind of a month and a half into our product research. So we were feeling that frustration. And then we were like, okay, let's just narrow it down. Because I think when you start doing product research and you just keep it completely open, and you just say, right, let's just look at products making a revenue between 10 and 20K, there's just too much out there. There's too much out there. So what worked for us was just deciding on a niche and kind of looking at whether that was viable for us and whether we could make money from it.
And kind of.
No, you go ahead. Sorry,
I keep talking over you, Jason. I'm so sorry.
It's because of the slight delay, so I'm like, I don't want it. No, go on, share some wisdom, Oz.
But no. Again, it's just sort of, as per your training, something that you've always said is that if you're going to go into a particular niche, how do you make your product stand out? How do you make it better? What's unique about your product? And I think that's what kind of gave us. Or what we had to look at is that, yes, we fell in love with the product, and maybe we shouldn't have necessarily, but how could we make it unique? How do we make this attractive, in amongst other products that we're competing with, in amongst a niche? So I think that certainly we kind of paid a lot of attention to, and I think that's helped.
So we launched. So we started the course in August, finished it in November. And then we launched our first product in February last year. And then I think we hit the first 10K in 2.5 months. And then I think it was a year and 2 months before we hit the 100K, but we were out of stock for about 4 months out of that that 14-month period, we were out of stock.
And was that just because you sold a lot quicker than expected, or were there delays, or was it?
It was partly that.
It was a bit of both.
It was a bit of both, but also it was having the capital to restock, because we realised that we did need to increase our orders each time because of how quickly we were selling out, and we just didn't have the capital to do that. So we'd have to wait until we ran out of stock so that we had the funds then to place it under order. I think that's been the cash flow's been the difficult thing, I think.
And certainly not the ideal scenario or strategy that you want to employ. Obviously, you want to make sure that you've got stock sort of, perpetually there, as opposed to having periods, because yes, it does sort of affect your ranking, and it's difficult to kind of keep having to almost reboot every time you've got your stock coming in. You're almost, but it's but yeah, we kind of had the tough balance of making sure that we can try and mitigate that a little bit.
And I think again, not taking your advice, we picked
someone else's course.
we picked a product that was quite large. So when we were reordering, we were placing an order of 120 cartons, so the shipping costs on that was just ridiculous. So we just couldn't afford to keep restocking before we ran out of stock. So I think that's kind of one of the biggest learning points, I think, for us. I
think we've got
come down. Have you found the shipping costs have come down though? And like, are you still selling that product, or did you have to get rid?
No, it's
still our bestseller.
Is it okay now then? Because the shipping cost now is a lot cheaper by sea. I know that.
So we've always used by sea. Maybe a tiny bit, but I don't think we've noticed a massive, significant difference. But yeah, maybe by a little bit. But I think it's just the sheer quantity we're ordering, and the number of boxes that we need is, it's maybe 10 units per box. So it's a lot. Yeah.
So just kind of going back to your point on differentiation, it's definitely one of the most challenging parts, I think, of research, thinking, well, what is enough, what do I need to do, and so on. What was your approach there? Did you kind of follow some of the tips in the course, or again were you kind of finding your own ways and strategies to think outside the box?
No, we definitely followed the training. I think when we found the product, we were like, okay, now how do we accessorize this? How do we make it stand out? How do we offer a bit more value for money? So yeah, we did differentiate slightly. Yeah.
And were you confident with the way that you did that? Did you think this is definitely enough, or like,
100%.
A little bit of uncertainty?
Yeah. I think when we get our review feedback, actually, that's our biggest kind of selling point, really. What people comment on is the value for money and what you get for it. So yeah. I think,
do they? Oh, that's nice. Are your reviews generally quite kind-hearted? Because I get utter gremlins saying all sorts of mine.
So we've got 370 reviews. We're on 4.7. So nice. I think. So every 10 5-star, we might get a 4 or a 3, the occasional 1 or 2 star, but it's very rare. It's very rare. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I got a 3-star the other day of someone saying, not sure, haven't used, but looks good. And I was just like, you don't know what you've done there. That probably down from like a 5-star rating to like a 4.5.
What's frustrating, Jansen, is when you get a negative review because Amazon haven't shipped the product on time. That's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because that's out of your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, but you kind of hope, don't you, that you'd think that customers would click on and kind of ignore it, but
no, they like to comment on it.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess let's talk about favorite moments. We were talking earlier about how good it was to hit the 10K, and I did agree with what you guys were saying there. It's like your first sale, isn't it? Like the first sale just means so much when it's come from a complete stranger, because it's a little bit proof of concept, and it's like, wow, someone actually wants to pay me for this. So in some respects that's better than the other parts of selling on Amazon. But I guess what has been a real memorable moment for you guys, something that you're you kind of treasure when it comes to a memory?
I think there's a few.
I'll tell you what, for me, I think it was actually the first time we received the sample product. For me, it was.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the fact that, you know, we had sort of obviously,
I think because we designed the logo.
And it was, I just didn't think that we'd create something from scratch and actually hold it in your hands and go, Jesus, we actually did this. That I found that was pretty cool. And
also kind of testing it for a few months.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of, you know, kind of having it in your hands and testing it. And I think the second for me was when we hit our highest sales in the month. Nowhere near as big as yours, Jansen, but we hit our first 14.5K in 1 month, which was
brilliant.
That was kind of worth celebrating, wasn't it? And I guess seeing our product out there, when we see someone with it, we're like, oh my God, that's our product.
Have you?
Yeah, someone actually sent me a picture.
I think that means a lot. That means a lot.
Someone sent me a picture of somebody on a train with it, and they sent the picture, and I was like, oh wow, it's amazing. Yeah.
I love that. I actually saw, I think Greg's watching. I saw someone the other day with Greg's product, and I got my camera out and took a photo. And Steph, my wife, was like, "What the hell are you doing? Just taking a photo of this random person?" And I was like, "That is my student's product." And yeah,
that's exactly what my friend did. Yeah, they saw the product and sent us a picture. It was brilliant. Yeah.
It's weird how much it means to you, isn't it? Just to kind of see it out there in the wild and just be like, that person's loving using my product.
Yeah.
Because you know what went behind it. You know the work that's gone into it. You know, and how long that's taken. And it's amazing that I think, you know, when you launch a product, everybody thinks that's point zero, the point of a launch of a product, without having a clue of actually what we do behind it and the work that's gone in just to get to that point. So there's a lot of satisfaction, I think.
Yeah.
Has it changed your perception of like other products? So ones that you buy on Amazon, ones that you see, you know, maybe just in retail stores where you think, I know how that's done, and you know, I can do that. It's weird, isn't it? You just look at it and you're like, that's not as difficult as I used to think.
I'll tell you
my first response, Jansen, is how the hell are they getting away with charging that much when I know how much it costs?
I think, and I think for me, I think it's the reviews. I think if I purchased a product and I'm not particularly happy with it, I don't want to leave a negative review because I understand the impact of that review. Whereas somebody just indiscriminately goes, it's rubbish, and they just they throw a review without any idea what that means and the impact of it. So I think. Yeah,
it's true actually. Yeah, I haven't left a negative review.
No.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that. I think it's just certain types of people, isn't it, that get a product and then their first instinct is just to leave you a 1-star review. George, who is another 100K winner, is really, really patient with these people, and he'll reach out to them by going through the brand's menu, which you can do if you're brand registered. And honestly, he goes out of his way, and a lot of the time they will remove it voluntarily, but there's always someone where you'll send a free product to them, send them a nice message, and then they just disappear off the face of the earth. And I just think these types of people, it happened to me the other day. I've like emailed her twice now saying, did you get the free replacement? Nothing. So, I'm glad that you aren't those type of people to be leaving negative reviews. Because
we might get cheeky though, because when a customer sort of message us and say, oh, it was missing this, or I've had problems, you know, we'll offer to obviously send a replacement. And I always put, we'd be so grateful if you could leave us a review after you've received the product. You know, I always make sure I put that in. Yeah,
absolutely. You've got to try, haven't you? So a really good moment was getting your product from your supplier the first time. How has your supplier been generally? Like, have you got any tips for dealing with them, the time difference, and just generally having a good relationship?
To be fair, I mean, I deal mainly with the supplier, and she's brilliant. She's her English is really good.
Oh, really? That's good. It's always helpful.
Yeah, she messages me at all hours of the day, even if it's 2 a.m. in China. I'll get a message from her, and you know, she responds really quickly. The only thing we're finding now, I think, after a year, is they are starting to push our minimum quantity order.
Substantially upwards?
Yeah.
Really?
They keep saying, when are you ready to order? Because what we've been doing right now is we've got 3 variations. So we order 500 of each variation. But they're now wanting us to place a minimum of 1,000 per variation.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, I've pushed back a few times. But yeah, I still get the occasional message, you know, when are you ready to increase your order? So it's a little bit of pressure coming, which I don't like, because I've actually had a really good relationship for the last year. But yeah, other than that, it's been fine. Yeah.
And are they generally, have they got better with like payment terms, or do they still require X amount up front? And
yeah, I mean, they ask us for about 30% deposit, and then we pay the difference once the product's ready to be shipped.
It's always worth kind of, you know, as you build a relationship, just trying to, you know, get benefits, and payment terms is one of the big ones. So one of my main suppliers is just so good. I just chat to him on my phone on WeChat, and because of that constant, I suppose, bonding, you know, he's being really good at payment terms. But my other one sounds a bit similar to yours. She's 50% up front, doesn't really care that I've been using it for 3 or 4 years now, and it's just always very you know, a bit robotic. Like, are you placing new orders, sending me random new products? Do you ever get that as well? Do you get in, like, would you say having a good relationship with a supplier helps with new product ideas? Like, do they send you stuff?
They do. I mean, we've now launched 3 products, so I'm dealing with 3 different suppliers. And to be fair, they're all pretty good. Some, you know, each one varies. Some will want 50% up front, and then 50% once the items. I think they all work slightly differently. Yeah, that they will send you products. But I think for us, we've kind of said, right, we're at 3 products now. Let's just keep that steady, because, like I said, cash flow. And as you know, Amazon, they make you wait, and then they'll hold thousands in reserve. So that's a struggle. And you know, we've kind of said now we're at that point where we just don't want to be investing any more of our own money now. It's been 1.5 years, and it should be self-sufficient now. We shouldn't be having to constantly keep investing. So we've said we kind of just need to see stick to the quantity order now, and just stick to that for 1 year. See how much profit we're actually making, because like I said, we've increased the order each time, so we're going to just stick to a number, stick to these 3 products, so that we can start generating some profit, really.
I agree. I think my business kind of went through a similar thing. So one of my niches is within travel, and you know, obviously during COVID that shrunk a lot. And then when everyone starts to go away again, it kind of exploded. And the working capital that you're tying up in inventory, in order to satisfy that demand, you've got to, you know, be funding it from wherever you can. And I think, a lot of people don't quite appreciate that. If you want to be growing quickly, and your products aren't generating that huge ROI, then you might have to put a bit more onto the fire, so to speak. So guys, I can see some of your questions are coming in now. Please do start asking Naiha and Ozan if you have any questions about their story, or you know, equally anything about Amazon FBA. We've probably got around 20 minutes or so. I've just seen a question come through, but I want to ask you one thing first, because I kind of think your response will be linked. What's been the most challenging part, would you say, generally, about selling on Amazon?
Okay, so as I said, we launched 3 products. The first product is still doing well. Second product we picked was actually quite unusual. We saw an Instagram ad, or Oz saw the Instagram ad, and he was like, this product's really good. Like, let's have a look on Amazon. And I think maybe 1 seller was selling it.
Well, there was, when I saw it, it was a product that was sold when I actually went, because I was going to purchase the product, and I realized that it was sort of overseas, and there wasn't many. And I was like, so you do your little bit of research and bits and pieces, and it's like, oh, actually, this is something.
And we saw like 1 seller selling it on Amazon, not a huge amount of reviews. So that was our second product, and we actually don't put any PPC on it, because it's so niche, you wouldn't know you were looking for it. Does that make sense? Like, it's not something you'd search for, because it's just one of those products you think, oh my god, I didn't know they do that, you know.
So how do people find it? Is it through Instagram, like how you did?
Yeah, we do Instagram and Facebook ads on that product, but we don't. And that's, I mean, we make about 10 sales a day from that without any PPC. But our profit margins are huge on that because we're only spending about £10 a day on advertising.
Oh, nice.
So that one went quite well. But then our third product that we launched this year, completely different niche. We were like, okay, because the second product kind of fell into the same branding with our other products, so that worked quite well. But we thought, let's try something different. Let's go for a completely different niche. Had quite high hopes for the product because when it came, we absolutely loved it. Few people, we had about 10 people test it, 10 of our good feedback, but it's just not selling. It's not. I think the main thing with it is we've got 5-star reviews. All of the reviews are 5-star, but we can't get the reviews past 30. And we've used Feedback Whiz. We've sold hundreds of them, but I guess it's just one of those products people just think, oh, I'm not going to bother leaving a review. I don't know what it is, but we're just really struggling, and we are using Feedback Whiz, but we just can't seem to get reviews on it. I don't know.
So I do think you're right there. Some product niches just don't really attract reviews, maybe because of the demographic is a certain age group or whatever, where they're just like they don't really think to. But is it something that you're using PPC with and kind of finding, we are.
But I mean, the products like £8.99, and we're spending like probably £40-50. But whether the time Amazon take their fees from that particular product, I think we've kind of come to a decision, let it sell out, and that's it.
Yeah, it happens. I think some people think that with Amazon, online business in general, it's the silver bullet, and you can just launch something, and if you know how to do it, it will work. But you guys know how experienced I am. I've been doing it 5 years now, and I've had numerous products that have failed, sometimes for obvious reasons, and other times I just killed one actually that was kind of an exclusively designed one for me, had 300 5-star reviews, and I just couldn't make it work. So sometimes it just happens. I think there is a little bit of luck involved. It's down to your competition. It's down to like you say, the demographic, who's reviewing it, and so on. But the important thing is every time you fail, you don't let that put you off, and you get over it.
Absolutely.
And take what you've learned, and so on. So okay, that's really interesting though. Just on the price point, you mentioned £8.99. Are you doing the Small and Light program?
We are, but it's not made any difference at all to the referral fee.
Okay. Just for the benefit of viewers. So if your product is priced at £10 or below, Amazon are actually getting rid of the Small and Light program now. It's just called under £10 pricing. I can't remember what it's called, but historically Amazon said if your product was small and light and priced under £10, then they would give you discounted FBA fees. So instead of paying £2.50, they would reduce it to £1.60, whatever, depending on the category. They've actually just changed it, or they're changing it this week, because previously you had to enroll your product into this program. Now it's just going to be, if you are priced at £10 or lower, it will automatically get those kind of discounted rates. I think your product does actually have to be quite small and light there, otherwise the savings not huge. But well done for kind of picking up on that, because I don't think I actually explicitly mentioned that in the course. But it's something that I've kind of been using a lot for some of my cheaper products too. Okay, so just on some more of the questions that have come through. So somebody's saying for the launches that you have done, I suppose it's not applicable to the Facebook one, but how did you manage your PPC? Did you kind of start aggressively or do slow and steady? What was the approach? I'll put it on the screen so you can see it.
Yeah, I think obviously we followed the course, and we made sure we had at least, I think we pushed it. We tried to get at least 13, 14 reviews before we launched. So yeah, Luke used a lot of friends and family to do that for us. And that does help. You definitely need to get those the reviews in first. And then we launched, and I think the PPC for us was quite, it was a bit of a shocker. I'm not going to lie, Johnson, but that's again down to the fact we went into a very competitive niche. So and I think that's the thing we're still struggling with, is the PPC. We're paying nearly £2 per click on our keywords, but that's because it is what it is, and we're running out of our budget by about 1 p.m. But then we have also got Insta and Facebook ads, so then we generate those sales later on in the day from that. But I think that's the one thing we haven't quite got our head around, the PPC. But I don't know whether that's just because of the niche we're in, and that unfortunately is kind of the highest bid end. So yeah,
it definitely is one of the biggest challenges. But you know, the cost per click, it can vary throughout the time of the year depending on if it's coming up to Christmas or Prime Day, but also on the competition of the keyword. So you know, for you guys, anyone watching, I'm sure you've kind of looked at this as well, but the longer the tail of the keyword, so you know, the more kind of specific it is to exactly what you're selling, generally speaking, it will be a little bit cheaper. After this session, I'm happy to give you guys some more tips, and we can kind of have a quick look if you want. Just to see.
What's frustrating is our highest sales come from the most expensive keywords.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah. So
and then you get people just clicking, not realizing the pain that they're causing with no intention to buy. So, yeah, I don't think you're alone by any means. You know, it's that pain is shared by me, by others. You know, it's amazing though, just how some days I'll have a keyword that will be a really profitable one, like 5% ACOS, and I'm like, oh great, and then the next day 90%. I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, absolutely. I think the key is to go hard and aggressive at the start. I think we managed to get our organic listing on page 1 within about 2 weeks.
It didn't take long.
Didn't take long at all. So I think when you reorder it, sometimes can be a bit harder. I kind of feel that when you've got a new product, Amazon, I don't know, I kind of feel like they kind of prioritize you a bit. I've heard this. I don't know if it's correct.
The honeymoon period.
The honeymoon period. Yeah, and I don't think the honeymoon period exists when it's your 4th or 5th order. So yeah, I think at the beginning you do just to get your ranking back up. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we've got a number of Facebook users, so I can't actually see who this is, but someone said, congrats, great results. How many products do you have now? And over what period since the kind of first launch when you started did you build up? So I guess, how long was it after your first one that you started to see it working that you thought, let's go for the second one, and then, let's go for the third?
It wasn't too long. It's about 8 months in. We just wanted to kind of just get a real solid look at the first product, didn't we?
I think 8 months in, we weren't actually planning to launch a second product, but as I said, Oz saw this product pop up as an advert and was like, okay, this is interesting. This is something different. So it wasn't something we planned. It was just the opportunity came. We were like, okay, well, there's one seller in the UK selling it. Let's jump on this. And then the third product we launched about 4 months ago. But like I said, that's the only one that hasn't done well. So I don't think we're going to continue with that product.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So we've got another anonymous. What gave you guys hope that you were going in the right direction? Was it when you first got that sample and you were like, yeah, this is the right product, or was it before or after, or did you never feel like that?
I think, to be honest, I think once we got the sample and kind of had a conversation and with family and friends and tried to get as much feedback from as many people around us as we can. And generally family and friends are going to be, oh, that's amazing, that's brilliant, blah blah blah. But it's kind of trying to get as much feedback as we can to sort of give us that kind of assurance that we're on the right track with.
Yeah, that's good.
But as well as that, I think
I think it's important to test that product for a few months, because what you don't want is having problems later on. And I think the fact we tested it for 3 months just for our own peace of mind, just reassured us it was a good, solid product. It was reliable. I don't think you ever get to that point where you realize, oh my God, like obviously the first sale, you think, oh my God, I've got my first sale. And then when the sales start building and each day they grow, but I don't think you're ever satisfied. Like right now, it's like, okay, right, how do we get higher now? How do we make more sales each day? I don't think you're ever satisfied, to be honest.
completely agree. It's just the entrepreneur's curse, isn't it? You always kind of want more. Okay, cool. So the next person, this is more of just I guess a fundamental question. How did you decide with your first product, like how much inventory to buy?
So yeah, I mean, we really went all in. So we had 3 variations with our first product, just because we felt we needed it in terms of what other competitors were offering with that product. So we did a small order. We did 300 of each variation, so 900 in total.
Yeah. Okay. And was there any reason that you went for that 300? Like, was it led by sales, by an MOQ, or was it just kind of that's how much we want to do our first order?
It's what we could afford, Jensen.
Oh, was it? Okay, fair
It's
enough.
basically what we could afford. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Chris is asking, did you do any organic advertising on social media? So rather than doing Facebook ads and so on, I guess making a page and posting pictures and links and so on in groups.
Absolutely.
How many followers have we got on Instagram?
Yeah, we have a few thousand followers on the Instagram page, and it's something that I have to stay on top of several times a week. Come up with content. So, but it does work. It does work. I do think that kind of opens, another avenue for sales for sure, and obviously that's linked with Facebook as well. So if I'm putting posts up on Instagram, that sort of directly goes over to the Facebook page, and I think that definitely works just from a visibility standpoint. It does help.
And I think it gives a bit more credibility to your product as well, especially if you've got your Insta page on your product itself. Then people can go there and have a look what else what else we have. What other products we're selling under that brand. So it does work, but it's time consuming. And I think you have to realize that if you're going to start it, you've got to keep up with the content, because otherwise you lose followers, you lose interest. So you gotta just keep up with it.
I was going to kind of segue that into another question that's come through, but I just wanted to ask with regards to using online social media and stuff, have you looked at influencers? So selling your product to YouTubers and so on? You have. And how's that been? I'd be interested to learn about that.
So to be fair, it was just coincidence. So an ex-EastEnders celebrity started at my gym.
Really?
So yeah. So I got talking to her, became friends with her. We went out for a few drinks, and she actually then sort of like did a story with our product. That's
cool. And did you notice much of an impact?
A tiny. I'm not going to lie, there wasn't a massive amount.
No.
But
I guess it shows you the potential.
Yeah. I think it also helps if you find someone that's probably more in the industry in terms of what you're selling. So maybe if we'd found someone that was more linked to our product, we probably would have got a better response. But we have, we've used a few actually. I mean, we've had actually quite some quite good ones, but if we say who it was, then it will give away the product. We've had a few.
One strategy that I've kind of been looking at recently is like YouTubers. So YouTube is a search engine. A lot of people will go on there and type in whatever review and set up demonstration, etc. So it's worth, if you guys do have a little bit of time, whenever, just having a look to see there's people in your niche that you can message and say, would you be interested in product? Even TikTok. This is a big tip from me for those of you that have TikTok. So there's a lot of these accounts that are cropping up called like Amazon Finds and so on and so on, and they're basically like 1-minute clips of people quickly reviewing like 6 or 7 different products, and the products are always a little bit not like your generic ones, maybe like your second product where you kind of thought that's not the sort of product that you would think of. It's like an interesting product. And one of my products is a little bit like that. So I did message the guy and he said, I'm happy to do a 1-minute feature of your product for $3,000. And I was like, hell no. Like, even though he's getting like 1 million views. So what I said to him was, instead, I said, how about we do a profit share? Like, you promote my product and I'll show you how many sales I get each day. And for each sale that is above that, you know, baseline, you can have like £1.50. And like, if, you know, there's no advertising cost to that, there's no PPC. So I was kind of thinking, I'm probably spending like £3 or £4, you know, a sale on PPC anyway. So I'm going to try that. You know, that's and he actually was quite receptive to that, because I think he thought, I'm getting 1 million views, and you know, might get quite a high level of conversion. So something to think about. So one of the questions that came through, and just kind of Oz, what you were saying there about not having the time. Do you guys outsource anything at all?
No. It's a short answer to that one.
I think if we were in a financial position to do it, we would. That would just take the pressure off.
This is why I'm saying, see. So this might sound you know, a little bit, I don't know if cheeky is the word or not, but I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines that's $4 an hour, right? $4 out there is kind of like their US equivalent of a lot higher. I don't know specifically, but the cost of living so cheap out there. And you know, she'll be working for me like 4 or 5 hours a day, doing stuff like this, doing stuff for the Amazon business as well. So I will share the website with you after this, where you can go. You can literally post, like, you know, we're looking for someone to help write social media posts, whatever, and you will get people even cheaper than $4. I think like $3 is their minimum. But you know, if you've got a budget of $3 to $8 an hour, and you're like, I'll hire you for three hours a week, you know, and if it's helping generate extra sales and so on and so on. Just, I think a lot of people think that outsourcing is really expensive, and it can be if you're hiring, you know, real specialists in like PPC advertising or whatever, just like people in the West. But if you're just looking for someone that can help you with basic admin, you can actually get it a lot cheaper than you would think. And so helpful. Like for me, I get them to upload my YouTube video, post Instagram reels, all that stuff. And you know, just kind of stuff that I was getting a little bit lazy about doing myself. So yeah, for you guys watching, for you guys as well, I will post in the group after this, just like a link that you can go to find these people. So what else have we got? Oh, this is a good one, because I know you guys do finish a little bit late sometimes. How do you find it managing the business with your busy lives with the care home? How many hours do you actually spend?
It's hard.
It's a juggling act. It's a juggling act.
It is hard. Do you know what? It's not so much. I mean, you know, I'll sit down once a week and I'll go through kind of the PPC reports and see what negative keywords we need to add and adjust the bids, and that's not too bad. It's when you've got the customers that, you know, you need to post something out to them, or you need to do this, or you know, you need to respond to something that Amazon sent you. It's all the other bits that you don't really think about or realize. And Oz he does all the social media stuff, so he's constantly trying to get new pictures, you know, post new content, so he deals with that, and I deal with more kind of managing the Amazon account. It is more time consuming than I thought it was going to be, and we're constantly having to kind of relook at the PPC because it's costing us so much. I think if you've got your PPC running well, you can just leave it automated, but I think for us, we have to keep reviewing it because it's costing us so much. For sure. It's something that, you know, I still allocate a fair amount of time to. I don't think it's ever going to be something that you can completely just forget about, but you know, for sure it's something that requires a lot less hours than you know, many other business models out there. It's always a plus point. Okay guys, so we are actually just over the allotted time. We've got a load of really nice comments. Someone did just ask me to thank you, and for some reason it's disappeared. We've got here from Rizwan, who's saying thank you very much. And then we've got another Facebook user. These guys are an inspiration. How nice is that? Thank you. Thank them for sharing their experiences tonight. So yeah, guys, once again, well done. An amazing achievement for the first sale, for the 10K, for the 100K, just absolutely everything. Just kind of shown, you know, this conversation as well, that you've got sheer determination, persistence, just everything needed to crack the Amazon FBA game. So well done. Oh, can I just say, Jansen, we can't see the comments, so please just thank everyone for their lovely comments.
I will do. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you both for spending an hour of your evening, your precious evenings with me tonight. It's been great to get to know you both. And likewise, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Do let me know when I post in the group about the live meetup next month, if you can make it, if you'll consider making it, just so I can get an idea of numbers. And yeah, it'll be really fun, I think, to meet all of you. So thanks, everyone. Have a good evening, and we'll speak soon.